Hi, my name is Brother Flores, and what this is right here, this is going to be a video that I am going to show you how artificial intelligence is being used in games. And as from a religious perspective, this is very bad news, especially for Mark of the Beast, Bible discussions or talks or understanding. I'm a firm believer. I have no doubt in my mind that artificial intelligence will be used for the one world government, for the Mark of the Beast system. For those of you that don't know about the Mark of the Beast, this is going to be a very troubling time, and it's real close to when Jesus is calling the end times, because he's saying this is the signs, this is what's going to happen, and it's an antichrist system. So it's scary, but you have to be aware. Do I think that this is the end time and stuff like that? Not yet, but it's very close, and God's going to give us the signs. You're going to have different opinions if it is and if it isn't, but like I said, the one thing I'm 100% looking for, the Mark of the Beast, is a physical sign, because you have to be able to see if the other person can buy or sell. And the scripture gets very detailed. For anyone who doesn't have it, you're going to have a very difficult time. We're going to have a very difficult time if this happens in our lifetime. So, but he's going to tell you that this game, the AI, the artificial intelligence in this game, nobody has ever heard of before. And if they did, they kept it really quiet and it's not being pushed out. So again, if you have Call of Duty at home, or you're a believer in Christ and you have a Call of Duty, you need to know this. You have to see how Satan is working and how he's already in your home in simple ways. So he's going to break it down, and then I'm going to come in and also refer to it from a spiritual view so that I make sure that you understand what's being said. Here you go.
We've just got some insane information exposed about Call of Duty that has never been shared before, and it's bad. Just a warning, this is actually bad. So just a disclaimer, brace yourself for what's coming. All credit right now goes to Branch Off Bush, who I'll link in the description. He's much more knowledgeable than I am about computers, game development, and coding, and his explanation is incredibly in-depth and precise. However, it's a little difficult to understand for an everyday average gamer, so I'm going to simplify and relay this information to you in a way where it's widely accessible. Branch Off Bush has been trying to get the attention of the mainstream Call of Duty community for a while, but it was clear we weren't ready to hear the information yet. This tweet shows him tagging a bunch of larger creators in the Call of Duty community, telling them that he helped a government agency expose the fact that Activision executes software that has unrestricted access to your computer's camera. But it's a lot more than just that. This is going to expose a lot of what Activision is doing behind.
So did you hear that? It has a lot of unrestricted access to your camera. And it's going to talk about how the government pretty much used this. So that's insane. Am I surprised? No. But is that insane? Absolutely. Because they're confirming it. If you had the thought about it, that's one thing, but they're confirming it. It's legit happening. Let's keep listening.
Behind the scenes, not just with manipulating the game, but also with your computer or console as well. I'm going to teach some complex computer things here in a short time, so pay attention and get ready to get rocked. We've never outed anything like this before. The first thing I need to explain is something called a DLL file. DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library, and it is, put very simply, a file that runs in the background of your computer that contains code that multiple programs can access at the same time. For example, if a program needs to access your camera, like Zoom or Skype, instead of the developers needing to write code within that software to control your camera, they can instead tell the software to access a DLL file that is already on your computer to access the video feed of your camera. It's basically a shortcut for developers. Instead of recoding functions that your computer can already do, they just tell the software to access a toolbox of code that is already capable of doing that. In the simplest terms possible, why build a hammer from scratch with your own resources when you can just reach into your toolbox and pull one out?
So that's how he's going to be talking. So if you feel lost because he's talking a little bit fast and he's saying all these things and you get lost, don't worry. He does a very great job at talking to you and in a very technical way, and then he stops and then he makes it very simple to understand. So in other words, as he said here, it's shortcuts to coding, right? He's going to continue sharing this type of strategy. So again, don't click away, just stay with it and keep learning, because this is very important.
This being said, Branch Off Bush, when helping this government agency find out what Activision was up to behind the scenes, used software that detects what DLL files a certain program was accessing while it was running. First, he tested this software on Black Ops 1 while playing combat training. He found that it accessed only a single suspicious DLL file called ntdll.dll. Now, bear with me here. Black Ops 1 was designed to run on both 32 and 64-bit systems, or newer and older systems at the same time. But since Black Ops 1 was also compatible with Windows XP, an older operating system, the game was accessing this DLL file in order to utilize the resources necessary to translate the game over to a 64-bit system from a 32-bit origin. Put simply, Call of Duty was accessing this DLL file present in Windows in order to make an older game compatible on a newer system. So it is not suspicious activity. The game simply requires code that Windows already possessed, so that the devs didn't need to code their own translation software. Rather, they pulled from the DLL toolbox that already existed on Windows. So that was a total mouthful, but it sets up the absolute bombshell that I'm about to drop next. When using the same software that detects what DLL files a certain program is potentially utilizing maliciously, but this time on Modern Warfare 3 2023, the software found something that would shock you. The first list of utilized DLLs when Black Ops 1 was investigated was this big. Only 6 DLL files were utilized by Black Ops 1, and none were suspicious or malicious. When the software was run on Modern Warfare 3 2023, the list was this big. Holy smokes. For context, and not just because Black Ops 6 is more modern, bro, XDefiant uses, you guessed it, 0 DLLs when it was tested with the same software. The game accesses a lot of your computer's functionality, but hold on, there's one in particular that stands out from the rest. While I will grant that a lot of these files are innocent, this one right here is cause for great alarm. NV Camera 64.
So pretty much right here, he's pretty much showing the comparison of one game that is accessing just, we'll say, 6 small different items of your computer's resources or files. And here, he just showed you that long list. But within that, there's this file that this game is accessing with a background access to it. In other words, you probably, if you didn't dig into it, you didn't know that this game was actually accessing this, right? And I know that a lot of people are talking about, well, when you click the privacy policy, this is what you're agreeing to. Let's be honest, 99.9% of the people don't sit there and they don't read that agreement, right? Because the devil's in the details, right? He's in the fine print. And who actually sits down and reads that whole thing? It's very few people that do that. So I'm glad that someone's kind of sharing this out for us to visually see and just take us straight to the point of what it is that's a risk, that's an issue. So here we go. Let's keep going.
.dll. Whoa. Now we're getting somewhere. Call of Duty is using files in your computer that are designed to access your camera's video feed, even when you don't have a webcam active. Call of Duty, immediately on startup, has direct access to your camera, despite the game and anti-cheat not at all requiring camera access. Not a single function within Call of Duty requires such a thing to be active. So why is it active? Well, look no further than this Activision-owned and created patent. Methods and systems to modify a two-dimensional facial image to increase dimensional depth and generate a facial image that appears three-dimensional.
This right here, I think, is one of the best things that he could have potentially shared on this. Because a lot of you don't know that this right here, this patent, is the way that you can come up with an idea in the world and physically protect that idea in a nutshell. A design or an idea. And here he's gonna, don't get lost. He's going to connect this, because I didn't understand it when I first kind of saw it. And I was like, okay, well, what's the big deal on that? And he's going to talk about that. He's going to tell you this is why it's important. Okay. So again, whenever you hear about patents, those are like protected ideas. Think of it like that. So here we go. Let's keep going.
Why on God's green earth does this patent need to exist? The scariest part is that this image included in the patent's resources displays a player's face overlaid over their gameplay. The footnote that describes this image reads as the following. In embodiments, the expressions/reactions of movements of image 1504, which is this image right here, reflect the user's expressions/reactions and movements in real time. This software is capable of using your camera to read and analyze your reactions and emotions, and the game.
Did you hear that? This camera, it's patented. It's reading your facial gestures and camera. And I know some of you know this because we saw it like with like Amazon or like other technology during the vid, right? Where it could detect if you were wearing a mask or it could detect if you were close in proximity. This game, this technology, this patent that they have is reading your facial gestures. It's studying you. And spiritual warfare, we call this like familiar spirits or demons that are like monitoring you and watching you to see what you like and don't like. Y'all, artificial intelligence is wild in a bad way.
Is also confirmed to be accessing your camera as soon as the game starts up. But then we have to ask, why is Call of Duty getting access to your camera the moment the game boots up? It's not to design a 3D model of your face for graphic design purposes, or maybe it is, I don't know. But what other things has Activision created or perhaps patented that would need camera access in order to get the most benefit out of it? Well, we return once again to one of our favorite patents, system and method for driving microtransactions in multiplayer video games. And here is where I drop the bombshell.
So for some of you that don't play a lot of games, a microtransaction, it's kind of like when you have your iPhone or Android or something like that, and you're buying like little things within a game. So this is what most people call skins, right? This video is for all ages. So some people that don't play may not know what this is. So microtransaction is honestly little small purchases within a game that you can buy because you want to be like somebody else. It's think of it fashion. Sometimes it's fashion, sometimes usually it's skins, sometimes it's additional content. But those are considered micro transactions in multiplayer video games. So another patent. And this one, it's not so bad until you see how it's used in conjunction with the additional comments that he's about to talk about. Okay, just wanted to throw that in there.
We can see right here in this patent that Activision has designed a system that does a few things by reading the emotional state of a player using visuals. Firstly, in this section right here, it reads, examples of quality factors include, without limitation, a player quitting a match or gameplay session while other players are still playing, indicating satisfaction, blah, blah, blah.
You see that? Examples of quality factors. See, that's what they're labeling it as, right? Quality factors. When you quit a game, that's understandable. Rage quit, that's what they call it, right? When other people are playing. So dissatisfaction, a duration of a game session, he's gonna keep going. But watch how AI is reading how you pretty much feel. Okay, that's wild.
Until we get right here. A player engagement factor, e.g. a speed of player input, a level of focus as determined from camera peripherals, etc.
So right there, they can tell how engaged you are in it. Like, are you bought into this game? You know, are you focusing right? Well, let's grab your camera and let's find out how focused you are on this. It's insane.
Where greater engagement may indicate greater satisfaction. So in this patent, a camera is used to analyze the emotional state of a player. Another section reads, the quality factors may include, for example, a duration of a gameplay session, e.g. via analysis of player historical data, player psychological state, e.g. frustration level.
Bro. Listen, I'm a preacher, but even here, your psychological state is being monitored in a game. Imagine about the more serious things in life. Where are they going to push this at? Because see, if you accept this as a gamer, that's it. GG's, right? Because then you're already used to being monitored. So you're like, well, I've been monitored since I was a kid. Now I'm going to grow up and be monitored more. But if you eventually, when you don't agree with something, this technology is already in place. And where we live in the US, that's a big problem. We're used to our freedom. And if you're going to check on us, talk about invasion of privacy or judging. I don't know what you would call this, but this is on another level, y'all.
Level and or other information. So Activision has created methods and systems that read player emotions in order to drive microtransactions and rig the matchmaking. And the best part, the patent that creates 3D facial images out of 2D images is cited within the microtransaction patent. And they have an AI that listens to your microphone in game chat, so the game has unrestricted camera access, can see your face and hear your voice without you giving them permission to see your face or hear your voice outside of voice chat. Unless somewhere in the terms of service there is a loophole that we sign up to, which I wouldn't be too surprised about, this is really bad. So Call of Duty has camera access as soon as the game starts up, and Activision has patents that suggest that a camera can be used in-game to measure your engagement levels and do whatever else it wants to do. Remember, when Branch Off Bush...
I don't know. Did y'all see that? Check this out. Check this out. Look, look, look. Watch it.
...that a camera can be used in-game to measure your engagement levels and do whatever...
Sorry. Look. Look what I don't know if y'all missed it, and he may talk about it, I don't recall, but look what it says here: a biometric factor. Facial expressions, your pulse, your body language, your sweat, and then obviously the more direct information, explicit feedback from a player. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Whatever else it wants to do. Remember, when Branch Off Bush did this text with XDefiant, no DLL files were pulled at all, meaning the game wasn't using anything on the system to run the game, and the game was executing all of its own unique code. That's quite interesting. XDefiant, a game without manipulative matchmaking and a transparent dev team, doesn't use any DLL processes, not one, nor does it do any other kind of engagement measurement. But then we get to Call of Duty, where we can feel something is quite off about the game, and we suddenly discover the game has unrestricted camera feed access, as well as patents about reading player emotions for engagement that cites a patent that uses a camera to model a 3D face out of a 2D image. I wonder what they could be trying to do. But this next patent seals the deal. May I present to you methods and systems for continuing to execute a simulation after processing resources go offline. Already the name of this patent is incredibly off-putting, but then you read into what it's capable of doing, and you start to really question what's going on. Get ready for this one. A system and method is provided that simulates gameplay of non-player characters, NPCs, distributed across networked end-user devices. The system may identify end-user devices that are connected to the system through a network and are available to participate in a simulation in which each participating end-user device is provided with one or more NPCs to be executed. An end-user device may be available to participate when it has sufficient computing capacity, such as when in an idle or standby state. As such, the system may leverage spare computing capacity.
Again, this is one of those times where he's just reading, right? Because some people are going to understand this. He's about to break it down for us. So hang on. He's almost through it.
Of networked end-user devices to execute NPCs at networked end-user devices during a simulation. In this manner, the behavior of an NPC may be tested using real-world connections that may affect gameplay, such as network connection quality, user-to-user game engine coordination and data exchanges, and or other real-world conditions associated with networked end-user devices. That's wicked complex, but this is essentially what is called a botnet, which is a computer virus, which is a felony. For those of you who don't know, botnets are a network of computers that have been artificially connected by malware or a virus. Within a botnet, the combined computing power of every computer is used to more efficiently perform fraudulent activity, such as generate more spam emails, DDoS a website, steal data.
So this is like, botnet would be like if you ever saw Terminator back in the 80s, right? They were talking about this computer that was going to be able to access other computers and pretty much take over the world. It's here. And they're telling you right now, it's called botnet. And what it does, he said it's a federal crime. I haven't looked into it, but it's going to link computers together so that they can work together. So that's what a botnet is. And I remember because, and it's crazy, in Terminator 2, they called it Skynet, if I remember correctly. So I'm an 80s baby, so I totally remember Terminator 2 and watching this. It's here. It's here.
Mine cryptocurrency, or spread malware to link even more systems into the botnet. Put simply, a botnet is a virus that links multiple computers together and uses their combined computing power to more efficiently perform whatever task the controller wants them to do. It's hijacking computers as zombie batteries for a shady operation. That being said, this patent looks like they simply patented a botnet, which again is an illegal virus that hijacks your computer's processing power, because it's networking computers that have Call of Duty together in order to run simulations, theoretically. If we reference another patent, it essentially describes how Network is creating methods to make AI NPC players that are indistinguishable from real human beings. This is another favorite patent of mine. This is incredibly useful to them, because in order to toss engaging matches, they now don't have to rely on...
Wait, did you see that? Did y'all see that? Look. Check it out. So basically what they're telling you right now, NPCs are pretty much like sometimes when you're playing a game, you're going to have characters, digital characters made up with no actual person playing it, right? Here, I don't know if y'all caught this green, but it says that the NPCs in multiplayer video games are so realistic that it's difficult to distinguish between human players and computer controlled characters in the game. So this is we've seen this. To those that we have played games, we understand this, but to those that don't really play games, whatever age level you are, it's going to be hard for you to tell what's real and what's not real. And I don't know if y'all have heard of this, but right now there is AI technology out there that is playing the role of religion, of God, of a pastor, of a priest, and you go and pray to it. It's here. This technology has begun and it's out there and people are buying into it. You've heard the stories. Some of these individuals are actually making emotional relationships with AI because they don't know better. And the Bible has been warning about this for years, for hundreds and thousands of years, because God knows the end times. He decided to share this with us. I thank God. But this is scary, because I'm telling you right now, go ahead and look it up. If I find the video, I'm gonna go ahead and post it and the link. But there are people right now that are worshiping AI as a substitute for a person for their religious beliefs. I don't know if y'all knew that, but now y'all know.
Pattern of mine. This is incredibly useful to them, because in order to toss engaging matches, they now don't have to rely on finding the right human being for the job. They can simply put you into a match that is perfectly tailored for your engagement, and you have no idea it's actually a simulation with no real human beings. Having recently apparently proved that AI bots are now in COD, you can see where I'm going with this. And just recently, we've discovered that on Steam, the game doesn't close properly. It has processes that stay open once you quit. You think something might be going on here? These two patents together, executing a simulation when resources go offline to train NPCs in real-world conditions, and creating NPCs that are indistinguishable from human beings, we can start to assemble the puzzle pieces. And it's not pretty. They're using your computer, yes, yours, to train NPC AI players on the side while you're not even in the game, i.e., while your processing resources go offline. And the same can be probably said for consoles as well. It's using your computer's processing power and resources in the background in order to train AI bots that play Call of Duty, and you're connected to other players' PCs as well through the network they've created. At least that's what the patent details. It networks a bunch of computers that have COD installed together, then uses that processing power to run simulations with these NPC bots so that they can learn how to appear more indistinguishable from human beings. They're using the processing power of your computer and your console without you knowing to train their own NPC bots to further perpetuate the manipulative nature of the game and turn it even more into the Matrix. And I'll throw in one more thing for you. What if this AI player your PC is being used to train is almost an exact one-to-one copy of how you play? Here's a
That's crazy. I didn't mean for this to be like an impression video, but how are you not impressed by all this information? Like pressing on you, right? Not like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's pretty much saying, right? Let's break it down some more. It's saying that even when you turn off the game, this software has access to use your computer. And not only use your computer, AI could potentially be studying how you move and the decisions and the choices that you're making to make another non-real character play the game. So it's copying your movements. It's probably copying the way that you think and the choices that you're making. It's tracking where you're going. Big picture, big picture. This is the big picture. If Big Brother wants to potentially find out what type of person you are, usually back in the days, it would set up this little car, couple of people in suits, and they would follow you everywhere. That's what this is. That's what this is. They are pretty much AI is following to see and maps and stuff like that to see how you play. But what about when you're not playing? Well, it's saying when you turn off the game, it's still using the resources. See, that's how the mark of the beast is going to gain power. Right now, it's just in gaming. You know, the small basic idea. They might be like, no, you're conspiracy theory, but this is like the root of how they're going to have to feed this one world leader. They're gonna have to find the way to slowly sneak in the resources so that it can rise to power. And you're seeing it right now, one of the little branches sneaking into the gaming world. I know that this is already also in corporations, 100%, because this is how marketing works, or advertising works. This is how AI, like Elon Musk said, he said AI, we don't know how dangerous it is. Well, in whose hands is it? You got to ask yourself that question too, because a lot of individuals may be using it for the right reasons or to be more efficient, whatever reason they want to use. But this has a big risk in it. If it falls in the wrong hands, if they get hijacked, if they get hacked, right? It's serious, y'all. Very serious.
Detail other creators have missed. Having access to the NVCamera64.dll doesn't only mean your webcam, it means it has access to the contents of your screen. So that means when you're playing, some kind of software within Call of Duty is requesting to have access to the actual video feed of your monitor. Does that mean that it's gathering gameplay data from your perspective in order to train an AI version of you? It's not out of the question considering what Activision has patented and what Activision is shown to do by accessing your video feed. There's no way to 1000% prove this just yet, but the fact they've patented a botnet, which is a system that is literally a felony, goes to show that they maybe aren't the most ethical company in the world. However, seeing as we have proved that Call of Duty gets access to your camera even when there isn't one connected, which suggests that it's actually watching your screen and your gameplay, and there's no other reason to access the camera unless we relay it back to the patents that state that it has access to your camera, reads your emotions, and manipulates matchmaking and gameplay for the sake of making as much money as possible, we get a case that is incredibly suspicious. And the only counter-argument is one of pure cognitive dissonance. This is bad, and it's undeniable. Call of Duty doesn't need
This right here is what I'm talking about. So cognitive dissonance, right? For those of you that probably got a little psychology, in simple ways, it's pretty much like, can you like detaching yourself from what's actually really happening, and can you accept that? So that's why right here it's saying, how can you even explain this or defend them, right? This is key. And I'm no, you know, this is very important because a psychologist may be able to better explain this, of why you may be able to explain this or defend it or come up with reasons, so come up with excuses, right? And you see this in relationship when like the girlfriend catches the boyfriend or the boyfriend catches the girlfriend, they get caught, and like reality hasn't set in, and they're like, well, it's because of you and because of that and because of you, and they're still in the wrong, right? So they're coming up with like defense mechanisms to how they think. That's what he's talking about. So let's keep going. It's almost done. It's almost done.
Need access to your camera for the gameplay to function properly, but for some reason, it's accessing your camera anyways as soon as the game boots up, and it's literally been proven that it does, and that should terrify you. Along with the botnet patent, we should be very scared of what's coming next. This game can read our facial expressions and is potentially using our computer's computing resources to train AI NPCs that they're going to toss into the matchmaking to make the game the most manipulative, dopamine drip-feeding matrix simulator we've ever experienced in gaming. And all the naysayers are just going to let it happen because it sounds too much like a conspiracy. You'll be thanking people like Branch Off Bush and me and Blame Truth years from now if Activision gets outed for doing these things and they shut it down. But that's all I got for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and go subscribe to Branch Off Bush. He's got crazy information on his channel. I'm Prime P.
So, if you're gonna subscribe or not, that's up to you, because they're gonna do a lot of content on it. But this popped up in my video feed, and I wanted to, take a look at it, because I know that right now there's a lot of talk about the Call of Duty world, how it's not doing so well, yada yada yada. But anything AI, me personally, as a Christian, as a believer in Jesus Christ, I'm always keeping my ears open. I'm always trying to see who's coming up, who's coming down. I'm just a watchman, right? And we should all be looking for the signs of when the end shall come, right? Whatever you believe in, pre-tribulation and pre-rapture, um, post-rapture, it doesn't. If you're wrong in whatever belief you are, what will never change is this truth: believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, right? And endure until the end, and you shall be saved. Because that's the ultimate truth. You believe in him, right? Some people on the other side of the world, they didn't have to face any of this, but they had persecution. Your faith has got to remain strong. We cannot be ignorant, because the Bible says, do not be ignorant, my brothers. So be sharp, be wise, share this, especially with, like, if you know any young gamers, if you know you've given this game to someone, and you need them to be a believer, or at least you don't even have to be a believer to be offended in this, because I know a lot of people that are not religious that are offended by this. And again, he did mention that he's piecing the puzzle pieces together. But again, this is worth noting that this is where our technology is right now in video games. With that being said, God bless. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask.